You get to choose a life with magic or a life without. I choose magic. Hey there, it's Deb D, your host of You Are the Magic, the show that is supporting you in connecting to that magic within you. Through storytelling, magic activations, solo episodes, and special guest speakers, we are going to explore the magical realm and how you can anchor into magical you in grounded, practical, let's make it real and a part of your everyday type of magic. My intention and hope is that by listening to the episodes, you will access this magic inside you so that each day and in every breath, you anchor into that truth. Because it is true, my friend, you are the magic. Welcome, my magic maker friends, to a special episode of You Are the Magic. I woke up this morning with a little pep in my step because I was like, yes, today I get to play with one of my new playmates. Her name is Gill. She's going to be joining me here soon because Gill has stepped into her intuitively lived life. So here for this season in You Are the Magic, what we're all about is this evolution of you, the changing of your story, the evolving of your story about who you are and what you're up to in your big, beautiful life and what magic you're inviting. So we've been playing with mindset, inner critics, lowering resistance. This is all a part of the journey. And now as we progress in the season, there's going to be some different women who are joining me who support people in evolving their stories and also have evolved their own. And that's absolutely Gill. So let me just tell you a little bit about Gill Moakes. Last year, a mutual friend of ours said, you two women need to meet. And we went, all right then. And so we met on Zoom because here I am living on the island of Tobago and Gill is across the pond over in England. And so we met online and it was almost instant, this connection of, oh, I'm interested in you and what you do, and I can see a part of me in you, and also I can see a part of what's not in me. And so we connected, and since then, we have been having a fabulous time supporting each other to step further into our own magic, whatever that is for us in the moment. We've been with each other on this kind of parallel journey. And so for me, Gill's been supporting me in the evolution of Big Life Magic, which is so exciting. And I've been supporting Gill to step into her intuitively lived life. Because Gill is an amazing woman at helping you to step into your big business life. Indeed. Gill is an award-winning, hello, thank you, coach for business, for women in business. She's also a writer and a speaker and the host of the Heads Together podcast, which drops every Monday morning and is my Monday morning. I have Gill in my ear every Monday morning while I'm walking the beach. But Gill, and she's going to tell you more when she comes on stage here with me, Gill is, like me, inviting women to step into their big life. And today what we're going to explore is the transformation, the evolution in Gill's story when she started to step into this new way of being for herself. But know this, my friends, all of the women invited to You Are the Magic as a special guest are women I have identified as living their big life and making the magic happen. So strap in, get ready. Let's bring Gill up onto stage with me now so we can learn about her big life and the magic that she is creating. Welcome, Gill.
Thank you, Deb. I'm so happy to be here. And what an introduction. I love that. Can I take you with me wherever I go to introduce me? Did that so beautiful.
Please. Look, Gill, I could have gone on and on and on because I'm not putting sugar on top here when I say in the months that we've been connected, it's not even a full year yet, Gill, but in the months that we've been connected, you have literally changed my life. You've literally changed my business. And I'm so
Oh my goodness.
grateful.
And absolutely back at you because you have changed mine too. So this is a love-in, everyone. We are. It's a mutual admiration society.
We're completely in it, and we're going to continue. But let's begin here, Gill. Let everyone know who's tuning in, either watching or listening. Tell us about the magic you make and create and share with the world.
Magic I create and share with the world. So I work with the most amazing women. I work with female founders and I help them bring the full fat version of their dream business to life. So I help them stop beavering away at this light version of what they really want. I help them go all in on being who they are, doing what they love, and making a difference, doing work that matters to them. I sometimes have to pinch myself, really. And sometimes it does kind of trip me up and make me laugh when we call that work, because I literally get paid to have conversations with the most incredible, captivating women. I'm the luckiest woman.
Yeah. And indeed, like this not beavering away at the smaller version. But the other thing that I've experienced in working with you is also, I think your words are like unwilding, like rewilding.
Rewilding, yeah. I'm
Yes.
very, very passionate about people rewilding their business. And when I talk about that, what I mean is that we add layer upon layer of complexity into our businesses, and sometimes that, we get to that point where we're feeling so overwhelmed, we can't see the wood for the trees. We're really just spinning our wheels, creating this monster of a business that really doesn't actually bear much resemblance to what we want to be spending our days doing. So rewilding your business is where you take a look at everything that's going on in your business and cut away what doesn't belong to allow what does to thrive. And that rewilding concept really changed everything for me. My business was really complicated and with funnels coming out my ear holes. And after rewilding, I now have a very calm, consistent, flowing business that feels so good.
Yeah. And so do I. Because
Right.
we've been through that process with my business. And
Absolutely.
when I connect with you, sometimes I still got to go out and pick out some of those weeds because I'm still learning how to be in this big version of myself as the business owner, as the person who holds this dream. And there's a part of this rewilding which also kind of connects to some of the work that we've been doing with you. Because
oh my gosh,
I believe
it certainly does.
Yeah, because I also believe that when it comes to spiritual practice or having, magic as an influence in your life, I really think that a lot of people are taking it as this very complicated narrative that's hard to understand. They don't know the access point, or if they're in there, they get lost and they're feeling unsuccessful. They're not trusting it. And I think a lot of that has to do with these bigger collective narratives out there around what does it mean to be connected to your intuition? What does it mean to want to actually manifest something in your life? And I think you and I can agree on this. There's a whole heap of noise out there that is just simply noise. And it gives magic and living an intuitive life a little bit of a dirty taste in your mouth for some people because they tried and it didn't work, or it's just noise and it doesn't feel like it's singing to them. And so I want to go there now, Gill, with you, because when we connected, you were someone who, my words, maybe yours as well, were just a bit like, I'm kind of an anti-woo person. I don't buy into it. And then that's how we connected. Yeah, please.
That is how we connected. And what I loved was that from the outset, we've been incredibly honest with each other, haven't we? About where we're similar and where we're not. And when we first met, I mean, just to give everyone listening and watching a little bit of perspective here, I almost called my podcast the Anti-Manifestation Show. Right, that's where I've come from in terms of how I thought about it. But I just want to go back to something you said just now, which was like this narrative that people have about spirituality or magic or that part of intuitive living. I feel that a big barrier for a lot of people, me included, if I'm really honest, is that you feel like you don't belong in the club. You feel like you don't know enough to belong in that world. And that somehow that's for other people, not for you. And I think this is where you changed everything for me. Everything. Because you made me see that, well, all the work, for example, all of the work that we've done has been so personal for me. You've allowed me the space to interpret things for myself. You also don't speak in a way, when we're talking, you don't speak in a way that makes me feel like I'm not in the club. You're very inclusive, very inclusive. And that, I think, is where everything changed for me. I mean, the first part of work I did with you was with Attune. And that kind of changed everything for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do love hearing that, because when you first started with I'm not in the club, or the magic is for someone else, I get this sad feeling. I'm just like, no, like it's actually your birthright. We all have it.
It is a sad feeling. And you know what? It was like I think we pigeonhole ourselves. So I was in the business and making money pigeonhole. And, a lot of my clients are in that business and, doing the good work, but certainly in the business pigeonhole. So this area of magic, spirituality, whatever, and now I know that there are no wrong ways to talk about it. I don't have to be scared that I'm going to say the wrong thing and offend someone, because it's all okay. And because of that, it just felt so easy to step into and start embracing that. I have always thought that I was a pretty intuitive person. I always thought that I was someone who really trusted my intuition. Yeah. What amazed me was that I didn't know what trusting my intuition meant until I went through Attune. I took it up so many levels.
Yeah. So let's just anchor into that, because not everyone may not know what Attune is. So let me fill in the blanks here. Some will. Some people listening and watching have done Attune. And some people, you may be just about to click a link and do Attune, because it's linked below. Attune is a 5-day activation that I created last year as a part of our intuition season within the Big Life Magic Makers, which is the virtual community of women who are like, I want to be her. I want to be the woman having the big life, bringing on the magic. And Attune is this 5 days where I step you through day by day how to actually literally tune your intuition. So to get onto the right station, to make sure that there's no static in the line, to delete what you don't want to be there, to start to trust that voice, and then have fun with being connected to your intuition. And so attune is like this audio activation, and it's an invitation to play and invite your intuition to be your playmate and to say yes to being tuned up and then playing from there. And this is where, where one of our beginnings was, Jill, where I was like, well, why don't we try this? I'll just send you
Yeah.
this 5-day activation and
it.
let's see how
That was
you
in
go.
quite the early stages of us working together, actually. And I suppose the first kind of session, I was skeptical. I was skeptical. When I look back now, I can't really put myself back into the mindset I had then, because
Mm,
obviously I feel like I've evolved a lot from
mm,
there.
mm.
But I do remember like a feeling of being skeptical and being kind of, that's not me. I don't believe in all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When, of course, now when I look back, I'm not sure what I was saying I didn't believe in. When I didn't believe that I could trust my intuition, or what was I discounting? I don't really know when I look back
I
now.
don't know, like what's coming to me just as you're saying it, and again, I'm not saying that I'm intuitively getting a hit here and this is correct. Tell me if I'm wrong. But sometimes I think we do make these decisions because we want to protect ourselves. Like from the, well,
Mm.
I'm not in the club. So by the way, I don't even want to be in the club. Like
Oh,
that kind of
that's
energy,
biggie. Mm-hmm.
like that of like, well, if you won't let me in, oh, by the way, I never wanted to go in anyway. Like, I think we do that in lots of different ways in our
Well, I
life.
think there's an absolute parallel with that. Actually, when I think about the women I work with as a business coach, I will often work with women who will say to me when we begin working together, it's not really about growing my business. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. I just, I want to maybe just find, some systems that make automations that work a bit better. It's not, I haven't got big ambitions to grow a big business.
Yeah.
That's often our starting point, because I think we preempt fearing that we can't do something, or that we don't
Yeah.
belong, or that kind of success, unbridled success, isn't for us. So we preempt that by pretending it's not what we want, whether it is or not.
Yeah. But at some point,
Mm.
you decided, okay, I'm just going to step in and see what happens. Because you did. You fully stepped
I
into a tune
absolutely
and
made a
you,
decision to. You're right.
yeah, yeah. Talk a little bit about that. If you
Yeah.
remember what was around that decision.
I do. And it's good actually that you've reminded me that was a decision to actually prioritize it. So here's the thing with me. I'm a busy business coach. I
Mhm.
work a lot. So the opportunity cost for me of making time for myself, for other things, for reading, for relationships, my poor old partner will say, you don't spend enough time with me. So the making a decision to prioritize something else, which was doing the work together with you, doing the work alone, in between our
Mhm.
sessions, that was it had to be a considered decision to do that,
Yeah.
because I'm not afraid to say no to things that aren't aligned with what I'm doing in my business. So saying yes to it, very, very conscious decision. But it was probably the first time, and I know I've talked to you about this since, but it's probably the first time I ever actually felt like a calling to do something that didn't necessarily make complete rational sense to me.
Mm.
It did, because I think my rational brain would have said, you're already complaining that you don't have enough hours in the day. You're already kind of at capacity for private clients. Why are you taking on something else? Why are you doing something else? But I felt really drawn to doing it,
Mm.
to doing this work. And I'm just, God, so glad I did.
Yeah,
I've
so go there. Like,
Yeah,
take us
well,
into the work. Like, What did
It's
it feel
made a
like? What
difference.
changed?
I'll tell you what changed. There's two things that I think probably have changed the most. One is the way I start my days.
Uh-huh.
That has changed beyond all recognition and is now the way I start my days is now my self-care.
Mm.
And it is incredible the way I get the most amazing start to the day. It means everything that comes later in the day flows much better. I just carve out time where I'm not jumping straight into my emails. I'm almost having a conversation with myself. When you and I started working together, you said to me, you're explaining to me how you work in your business, to give me a feel for that. And you were saying, well, I have business meetings with myself, where we have conversations. And I guess for me, it's a little bit the same, but for me, it's my intuition. It's, okay, how am I actually feeling today?
Mm-hmm.
Before I wouldn't even have asked it just wasn't a thing to do that. It wasn't a thing to pause, to be quiet, to listen. And
Mm.
I've even paid that forward. I certainly, people that my clients, collaborators that I work with, I've had this conversation with them, do you listen? Do you stay still and quiet and listen? And hear what's going to come? Because I think in general, we don't. In general, we consume a lot, whether we're
Mm-hmm.
consuming content online, reading, listening to podcasts like this, whatever it is, we consume a lot. And I think just starting the day with some quiet time of tuning in, which I now know
Mm.
is what I'm doing,
Yep.
that has changed everything. That's one of the things. There's something else as well, though, and that
Mm.
is that the work we've done together now helps me make sense of things.
Ooh.
So what I mean by that is that I have this other dimension now, which I can look at problems through. I
Mm-hmm.
can make decisions with. I can analyze future states by. I can look at the future and I have this different lens to actually look at it through. Decision making, this is a big one. Since really tuning into my intuition, decision making is so much easier. And I don't care whether that is a small work decision. Shall I call my podcast this or this, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a big life decision. Decisions are easier once you've tuned in.
Yes. Yes. I love all of that because that also is sustainable.
Oh,
Like that's not,
completely.
because I
Completely
think
sustainable.
sometimes, yeah, because I think sometimes from the outside, people are thinking, oh God, I have to start this morning practice and then I have to do this and then I have to do that and then I have to go to the top of the mountain and start chanting and there's got to be some
Yeah,
sage
right.
burning and I'm just like, again, that is too much noise. Like the
Yes.
whole idea around tuning in is because it makes your life easier
Yes, it does.
because you have your inner guidance system turned on and
Mm.
it will guide you to
Mm.
what is the best name for your podcast? What is the best way to use your energy today? What is actually in your way? Like your intuition has all of the answers to that. And
Yeah.
it's not that it's not there for you. It's like we don't actually take a lot of time to just actually stop, pause, breathe, and let our intuition actually drop in
Mm.
to let us know
Absolutely
the
true.
navigation point because it's there.
I never stopped to listen before. I would work very fast. So I've
Yeah.
always been a fast worker, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. I still work at a fast pace. I still like to fill my day because that's who I
Mhm.
am. I really enjoy working in that way.
Yeah.
But it's just brought this new dimension of space at the beginning and end of my days, which allow me to This can sound so generic, but they allow me to enjoy my life more.
Please. Yes, please. Everyone hear that.
Yeah.
Everyone hear that. Because what I want to just like highlight here is in the beginning, you were like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Or why would I spend my time doing this when I'm already so
That's
busy?
right.
And then if you actually flip to turning your inner guidance system on, saying, yeah, I am actually going to spend some time listening to my intuition, building my relationship with my intuition, so I can actually feel like it's a playful relationship for me. What happens is it ends up saving us time because we don't worry so much about, am I making the right decision about this? Or what's the right way to go in this relationship or in this business choice that I need to make? Like it just
Absolutely.
becomes easier to make those decisions, work through the things that happen in our relationships, in our lives, because we have this, we build this trusting relationship with our intuition. So if it is clearly guiding us in one direction, we go that way.
We go that way, yeah, and we trust it.
And we
And
trust it.
absolutely. And I also think that until you experience what that feels like, the lightening of the load, if you like, because I think it's the lightening of the load when
Yeah,
you can trust yourself to make decisions effortlessly, to know without having to overthink. For the overthinkers out there, of which I know there are a lot, for the overthinkers, this work is a game changer, an absolute
absolutely.
game changer.
Absolutely. Like you just reminded me, I don't know why, but it's just dropped in. So let's follow the lead.
Let's go with it.
One of my favorite magic tools with my intuition, particularly when I'm overthinking something or I feel like I'm in a knot at the crossroad, like I know I have to make a decision, but I know now with the energy that I'm currently in, I've knotted myself to the point where it's actually hard to hear what my intuition is telling me. What I do, this is a practice, everyone, take it away, play with it. You may want to play with it too, Jill, is before I go to sleep, I say, okay, intuitive me, or you may say, higher I am, presence me, or whatever you want to call the beautiful intuitive part of you. I say, okay, I know that you have the answer, and I'm going to turn over this question or this dilemma or this crossroad to you while I sleep, because I know when I sleep, I let go of all of my conscious thinking brain, ego, fear, all of that in my everyday lived reality. I know that all of that takes a rest while I'm sleeping, which means I can intuitively tap in, which is why dreams are amazing, my friends. And so I know that if I let this go, and I'm giving full permission now that I let this go, and I'm going to go to sleep, and when I wake up, my intuition is going to tell me which way to go. And as soon as I hear it, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to go in that direction. And it's an amazing activation because every time it's worked for me. And it means you don't have to do anything. You actually stop doing. And when you wake up in the morning, I'm not saying like you wake up and the birds are singing and then the intuition is so loud in your
Yeah.
ear, and you know what I mean? Like it's not that. Like sometimes I have woken up and it's been right there. Sometimes I forget I even asked before I went to sleep, and I'm making a cup of coffee or I'm talking to my husband or whatever it might be, and then it drops in. I'm like, oh, there it is. So, but it does arrive. And it's about actually letting go of feeling responsible for every decision and every action in our lives, and giving our intuition full reign to have say with like, this is actually the way to go. Yeah, so it's that, again, it's that making the space and giving permission that, oh, I can actually be
Exactly.
intuitively led. I can.
Yeah, and that giving the permission, that's the big one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes almost building trust in yourself, it has to start with a decision. It has to start with a decision to be open to this working. to be open to changing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does start with a decision. And that for me, actually, learning that was quite helpful for me, because that spoke to the logical side of my brain that wanted some kind of like, well, is this going to make sense, or is Deb going to make me do all kinds of chanting and woo-woo stuff that isn't going to feel right for me in the beginning? And so knowing that actually, there is still decision making to be made. There is still you can still have opinions. You're not being kind of washed away by some kind of spirituality, which I think is, again, something that people fear, is a lack of control or something like that, if they embrace a more spiritual life. But it's none of it. Well, my experience is that it's been none of those things for me. It has just been, if anything, it's been a slowing of pace, a sharpening of being able to really hear what's going on above the noise, like you say, because there is so much noise.
There's so much. There is so much. And that's also why a part of the 5-day activation with the tune, one of the days is actually dedicated to building this trust.
Yeah.
Because that's why we have to work at retuning, because our world is actually constructed to tell us to not trust that voice. It's a part of what's happening left, right, and center all over. Yet we are born and our intuition is our first sense. It's the very first sense we are born with. As soon as we take that first breath, our intuition is like locked in and guiding us with what's safe and what do we need. And then over time it gets, we go off station, or the volume goes down, or whatever it is, or things happen in our lives that make us believe that we can't trust it. And so it is, that's why I created a tune. I was like, okay, let me help everyone get back on the station and understand what happened, what disconnected at some point for you.
It's a really amazing tool. I think it's incredibly clever the way each day builds on the day before. Nothing feels undoable. It's not a huge undertaking. Let's face it. It's, you're not signing up to have all day, every day for the next 5 days used up by doing this. It's very gently done, actually. But actually, what I found going through it was, one of the things you talk about is kind of gathering evidence and science. And I think that is super clever, because what that does is it does bring you back to what you're doing as you're going through your day. And I found that really reassuring. I found it so reassuring. Oh, so hang on, that now makes so much sense. And that's evidence that my intuition was right. I trusted it and it was right. That's a really great feeling as you go through.
Yeah. And, I just want to say thank you for talking about that the days build upon each other, and that it's not, it has to take your whole day. Because one of the things that I absolutely delight in as a magic maker is building magical journeys, adventures. Like, this is how my brain works. Like, I used to love as a kid reading the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Me too.
I was the girl in my early 20s who was actually writing host murders for my friends' birthdays, because I just loved that whole idea, like the whole idea of narrative and story and journey. Our brains are wired in that way. And so that I weave that into all of the work that I do. Like tonight I'm starting a Tune Advanced, actually. We've got 10 women coming into a Tune Advanced tonight. And it's a 4-week intuition intensive, like beyond a tune. Like, how do we step into living this intuitively lived life, right? And the whole 4 weeks is a journey. It's a whole adventure for the 10 women and myself who are, journeying along with a Tune Advanced. Because I think it's also it's an invitation into seeing your world, your life, as a big, beautiful journey.
Yes.
And you get to decide. It's like you get to decide where you turn at the crossroads and where are you going to go bigger and what's going to happen next.
Do you know, something's just come to me as you've said that.
Mm,
That is what this has done for me, is it's
yeah.
allowed me, you know, that what's the expression about smelling the roses or whatever the expression is along the way?
Yeah, you've got to
Um,
stop to smell the roses or
Stop to smell
something.
the
Yeah.
roses, right? I think that one of the things that working with you actually, Deb, has changed for me is that my life was and work was quite fast paced, and I have slowed down and get more enjoyment out of each day now because I
Mm-hmm.
notice more things. And I
Yes.
don't feel guilty anymore for listening to my intuition if it's telling me, actually, you know what? Yes, you do have an email to write or a newsletter to write, but actually, I really want to go and sit outside because it's so nice and I want to read a little bit of my book. And I'll either do the newsletter later or I won't. It'll be okay. And
Yeah.
that's a big difference for me. Huge difference for me.
Yeah. Because you said it also before with like, it's actually self-care. Like your intuition will
It is.
tell you really clearly what you need.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, whereas our thinking mind can keep us pushing and in the hustle
Mm,
or the
mm,
have to or a I should. Whereas, the thing, everyone listen to this and like put this in your back pocket. It is impossible for your intuition to lie to you. Literally impossible. Yet our minds, our ego mind or our thinking mind or any kind of wound we're working from or framework that the world has taught us to think through, yeah, there's a whole heap of narratives which are threaded with lies about who we should be or what we should be doing to be
mm.
successful or to be
Yep.
loved or to be enough. Like that's all there. That's the noise.
Mm,
When we can tune in, this is why I say you can trust it because it's
mm.
never going to lie to you. Your intuition is the one thing in your life that you can know without doubt. It will never lie to you. Sometimes, though, it may confuse you. Like I've definitely got some intuitive hits before where I'm just like, I don't know what you mean by that. Or why would I make that choice? It doesn't make any sense to my thinking mind. But I've learned to just either stay with it and I get clues along the way, or the other thing which I teach um, in, stepping into trusting your intuition, particularly when we go to more advanced spaces,
Mm.
is it's a relationship. You can ask for clarification. You can
Mm.
actually say, okay, right, I get that intuitive hit to move in this direction, but I need some more information because I'm not yet completely embodied in trusting that, or it still feels too risky, or the information you're sending me, I'm receiving it, but I don't know how to action that.
Yeah.
What does that mean? We can actually be in a relationship with our intuition and build that relationship so that it's almost like, the world of AI now, how they're talking about how you can program AI, ChatGTP, so it knows how to talk to you with your business or whatever you're creating
Oh,
content
yeah.
for.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with intuitive you. You can be like, I don't like those symbols that you're sending me because I don't work in symbols. So give me some more concrete information, please. And then you just let it go and make a cup of tea. And you will get this new information coming through because your intuition is like on your team.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, like there's so much
Mm.
play in intuitive world that I love it. I love to
Oh my
teach it,
gosh.
and this
It's
is
so
why.
powerful. It's so powerful, and it's something that, I mean, like I said to you, it's not like I didn't ever think I was intuitive. I think I've always believed that I was acting in accordance with my intuition, particularly in business. It's something that I would teach my clients. You
Mm,
need what's your gut telling you, and
mhm.
but I've only realized now that I never really stopped long enough or quietened down long enough to really listen.
Yeah,
So I
and
was
I think
expecting my intuition to just shout at me as I was busy doing, but
yeah,
I
and
need to
like,
listen.
yeah, and it's this relationship, like I say, I'm like, if you've never spoken to your neighbor ever, never said good morning to them, never acknowledged them in any way, and then suddenly you turn up at midnight knocking on the door and saying, I need a cup of sugar, that neighbor is going to be like, what? I don't know. I'm not even opening the door. It's the same with our intuition. And it's not like our intuition is going to get cranky at you, but it's like, if we don't build this relationship, it's like asking for a cup of sugar at midnight.
Yeah.
When we haven't actually built, how do we speak to each other? How do I know that you're there? How do I know that you're guiding me? What are those symbols that you're sending me? Or like, your intuition will send you information while you're sleeping. Like, we had this amazing experience. So with the work that I'm doing with Gill, everyone, a bit of the context for the story is Jill's helping me step into this big fat version of Big Life Magic and me, right? It's working. It's amazing. Everyone should tap in with Jill's work. And one morning, the day that I'm going to have a session with Gill, I wake up in the morning and playing in my head is the Shrek song from the movie Shrek. And one of the lines is around, only the shooting star breaks the mold. And that one line just kept repeating and repeating and repeating as I was waking up in the morning. And I was like, what is that? Like, why am I hearing the Shrek song? I hadn't watched that movie for years, had no connection to it. It was like out of nowhere, but that one particular line. And then once I actually stopped and listened, like, okay, intuition, why am I hearing that one line? What's going on here? I sat down with my cup of coffee and I started journaling. Only the shooting star breaks the mold. And I was like, this is all the stuff Gill and I have been doing about me stepping into the bigger, fatter version. Oh my God. Like, I just felt so lucky that we were connecting that morning, because I would have burst if I didn't have a chance to tell you how exciting that was.
I can remember that session so clearly, because you were beyond excited to tell me about this. I mean, because it was such a clear one. So if you're talking about gathering signs and that kind of thing, my goodness, what a sign that was.
I know.
And we still talk about it. We still
talk about it. That's it.
On that line of the song.
Yeah. I didn't tell you this, but a couple of weekends ago, I was like needing to relax and, like wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that, and like needing to relax, those times when you're like, you need to wind it down, Briscoe. And then my intuition told me, watch Shrek. And I was like, oh yeah, that'll be fun. I haven't watched that movie in years. And it's also like my need to relax was, I felt like I wanted to be doing more with my business. It was a Saturday and I wanted to keep working, but my intuition was telling me, no, actually you need to rest. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to need something else here, because I'm finding it too hard to actually wind down. Right. And then they were like, watch Shrek. And I was like, that's an excellent idea, intuitive me. It was great. I made popcorn and everything, Jill.
Nice.
It was great. It was great.
Love it.
So just take us now. Yeah, you go. Sorry.
So, just really quick, I was just going to say that some of the work that I do with you around my energy and around, when we are so busy and when we love what we do, slowing down can be really hard. And, so it's not like before I was in this state of misery. I love what I do. So I never wanted to slow down or take a break. But the thing is, what I've learned now is that I do better work, more productive work. I write a lot. So, starting my day the way I do now means that I am primed for writing. I mean, I rarely get blocked with my writing. Just everything changed.
Yeah. And, it's not only in your work that things change, Jill. Like there's other areas of your life that have also shifted. Yeah.
Lots of other areas.
Yeah. So just before we, move towards the how can people connect with you and the dedication and all of that, I just want to kind of like literally turn the mic over to you and be like, what do you want to say to the woman or the person out there listening or watching who's like, I don't know, is this for me? Do I do I learn to retrust, or is there something about your life now that you want to share that's changed? Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just feeling like let's just open up the
I would
space.
love that.
What do you want to share?
I would really love that, because first of all, thank you for just pointing out, it isn't just about business. Yes, I often identify as a business owner. I am a business owner, and that's quite often how I identify, because I love what I do. So a lot of what I do and what I talk about on podcasts and things like that is business. But what I would say is that this has changed me as a woman, as a partner, as a mother. It's changed lots of things in terms of relationships, but also in terms of ambition and goals, and thinking about the way I want to live my life. It's allowed me to tune in and to question some of the stories that I had told myself so many times that I believed them to be true. So, some of the stories around, "Oh, you're too old to XYZ," or you can't do that while James is still young, my son, or, I mean, he's not young, he's in his 20s, but, lots of the stories that I told myself, what this has done is allowed me to slow down enough to listen to what the truth is. To listen to what the truth is about what I want, what I need for myself, how I want to interact with other people, who I want in my life, what I want in my life. That none of this is about playing small, but it's about the truth. It's about having enough time and space to be able to listen to my own actual truth. And that's something that's quite new for me. I've always been clear on the business side of things, but in personal life, I would go with the flow, just because I'm a pretty laid back person anyway, and my focus was often on work. What this has done is allow me to get more grounded and more rounded at the same time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's that truth that you hear when you're connected with your intuition, that truth is completely yours. It is so precious.
Completely.
It is completely yours. It's not what your family tells you. It's not what your partner is kind of sharing with you. It's not what's happening in your network with other business women. It's like there's so many spaces where there is still truth, but it's not crystal clean, just my truth.
Absolutely.
Which is so beautiful. Everyone deserves that gift. Everyone deserves that connection to self.
Everyone does. And so that's what I would want to say to anyone who's watching this or listening to this, and thinking about it. Please give this a go. Please sign up for a tune, particularly. And the reason I say particularly that is that for me, it was a very manageable and understandable and, dare I say, quite logical thing to go through. So it was really good for me at the beginning of my journey. It was so accessible, I guess, for me. And I want people to do it because, sorry, Deb, not just because I want them to hear your wonderful voice, but just because making that decision, you can't even begin to understand what it's going to open up for you. I didn't.
Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah, indeed. And, I want to tell everyone this. Last year, after working with the Big Life Magic Makers, and we all went through a tune in the 5 days, and it was fantastic. It then became a product in the magic shop. So I have an online magic shop at biglifemagic.com with different activations and things that you can opt in for, and it was behind a paywall. And a few people bought it, sure. And then at the beginning of this year, Gill said to me, what is the most important or valuable thing that you have inside your business? And I said, a tune. And she said, give it away for free. And I was like, yes, actually. That's how I want to be at service. I don't want it to be behind a paywall. I want everyone to be able to tap into their intuition, because that is like so clearly one of my North Stars.
Yeah.
And I do believe, like you've shared in this, it's like once you start there, everything else can start to open up for you. Like you feel like you're allowed in the magical playground, that it's not the club that you're dismissed from, like,
Well,
and so
it's
it's,
almost like you realise that there is no secret door
yeah,
locking
there
you
is
out
no
of the
secret door.
playground. There
No,
is
yeah,
no door. It's a
there,
beautiful
no,
open boundary that we
yeah,
can just step in.
yeah, yeah. So I want to thank you for that, because you were the prompt for that. You were like, let's build your audience. Let's invite people into Big Life Magic. Let's do that by giving them something really valuable. What's really valuable, Deb? And it was immediate. It was immediate. I was like, a tune.
Absolutely.
Because a tune is
What's
like, I had
really
so much
interesting,
fun
though,
making it, and I'm
and
really
it
proud
shows.
of it.
I mean, you should be really proud of it. And from a business perspective, I always say to people that, if you want people to work with you, you have to give them a taste of how it feels, because
Yeah,
we make decisions to work with someone based on emotion. And I
yeah.
think that if you're really good at what you do, like you are, if you can generously share that and just let people have a taste, it is the answer to everything. And it's a win-win for everyone.
Indeed. Now, for everyone listening, there may be some women out there who are like, I think I need some rewilding. I think I might be playing small in my business. Now, I know I want to let everyone know, run, do not walk, find the Heads Together podcast and start to follow it. Because Monday mornings, that is my Monday morning, whether Gill has a guest or it's a solo episode. I always find it really grounding for me as a businesswoman. But Gill, if there's anyone else listening and they want to continue to get this feeling they've got listening to you speak, what's their best dance move?
Really, if they just head to my website, which is gillmoakes.com, so same spelling as you can see underneath the image of me there. I would say if they head to my website, they'll see a couple of different things. They're going to see some freebies that they can opt into. There's a money mindset guide. There's a vision and goal setting bundle. And also they can apply to have a session with me, which is free, for them to have a taste of how it feels to be coached by me. Walking the walk.
I mean, yeah. How generous and how amazing. And I know some women who have opted in for that when I said, I think you should speak to Gill. And everyone's been like, oh,
conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Deborah. Yeah. So, Gill, there is so much more we could have spoken about with the work that we're doing, with the retreat you're coming to in Tobago, to the retreats that you run over across the pond and in Europe. Like, there's so much more. And we also have more space in our beautiful, magical lives. So at some point we will join again on You Are the Magic to speak about this expansion of this work that you and I are creating together. Because this is what happens, people. This is what happens when women come together and say, you are the magic. I'm going to hang out with you. Let's support each other in making our dreams bigger. How can we bring our skill sets together? How can we support each other? And we do that. Both you and I, Jill, we do that for each other. And you and I are both committed to doing that for other women in the world.
Absolutely.
Hands down, full stop, absolutely. And so we're going to wrap up today's episode, as we do, with a dedication. And I'm going to invite you as our special guest, Gill, to give our dedication for episode 5 of season 3, You Are the Magic.
I would like to dedicate this episode of You Are the Magic to my dear friend, collaborator, partner in Unapologetic Retreats, my co-conspirator and co-adventurer, Lauren Jones. She is the founder of Brand by Boudica. And the reason I want to dedicate this episode to Lauren is that Lauren introduced me to Eduardo, and Eduardo introduced me to you. So Lauren is the one who's really brought us together. So that's why I'd like
Thank
to
you, Laura.
Ah,
Yes, thank you. And again, there it is, that magic when people say, let me extend this to you. This is who you need to know. Or this would be a great move for you to connect with that person. Because Jill and I are testament to a lot of good stuff happens when you follow those threads. A lot of good stuff happens. And a lot of good stuff has happened in this episode. Jill, thank you so much for joining me here. I know that we could have gone on and on and on, but I believe we have said enough. And what I want to invite everyone now listening is just breathe in for yourself and just imagine for just a moment, if I let my intuition guide me today, where would I go? And then allow yourself to go in that direction. And if it calls to you, opt in for a tune. The link is below in all places this podcast is turning up, or you can find it on biglifemagic.com. And, both Jill and I want you to believe not only that you are the magic, but you deserve the big, fat, full version of the big, beautiful life that you want. That's right, Jill, right? You agree there?
Absolutely. No more playing small. We're going big. We are going
big, people. And the first dance move in doing that is believing this, because it's true. That it's you, my friend. You are the magic. Thank you for spending your time and your magic with me in the latest episode of You Are the Magic. I invite you now to click the link for a tune. It's a 5-day intuition activation, which means over 5 days, you will receive an audio activation from me, which is going to support you in tuning your intuition, your magical insight, the magical language that lives within you and connects you to our divine, glorious universe. Because I believe it. If we are all connected to our intuition, then we're all in ease, fun, play in the magical realm, and that's where your big life magic lives. Other ways to stay connected to me and Big Life Magic is all available to you on the website, biglifemagic.com. There you'll find the links and information for the Big Life Magic Makers, our virtual community for women. You may choose to join the membership. We would be delighted to welcome you. Plus, there's more information about working one-on-one with me or joining a new moon circle, which is available every new moon, open to anyone across the globe who wishes to join us. There's so many ways that we can connect together and connect to your magic, and I invite you to say yes to that now. I'm also going to ask this. If this episode or this show has inspired you or changed anything in your world, I would deeply appreciate a review on the platform that you're watching or listening on. For I believe when we share and elevate each other, our magic expands. And this is what I wish for us all. So breathe it in now, my magical friend. Breathe it in and smile, for it's true. You, my friend, are the magic.